Hey guys, I guess the semester is almost over, so here's one last video. So, let's talk about some stuff. So normally what I would do is after we had our discussion on God, what even was it? Systems of government. We would start to talk about the government in the United States. We would talk about the founding of the United States and the original political parties, Federalist and Anti-Federalist. Federalists were like for big government. This was more like big business. You mostly found these people in cities. They wanted a strong federal government. That's the like national level, not state level, to help business across state lines and things like that. The Anti-Federalists were more agrarian, more rural, and against federal government overreach. They were very much like states' rights and things like that. And so you might think that like, oh, Federalists, that kind of sounds like Democrats in the North, more about like cities, and Anti-Federalist sounds like Republicans. But that's not what happened. That's not who they were. The parties went through several changes, and since this is the last week of class, I'm not actually going to go through all the history of that stuff. But the Federalists became the Republicans. The Anti-Federalists became the Democrats. Democrats were in rural areas. Democrats were really strong in the South. Republicans were very strong in the North and very much about big business. And so we would come to this point in the class where I'd be like, but why was there this big switch? Well, the answer is Nixon. Richard Milhous Nixon and the Southern strategy that he employed. Racism. It's racism. The Southern strategy was all about Republicans courting racist Southern white people to get them on the Republican team. And like spreading myths about welfare queens and stuff like that. Actually, that was more Reagan's deal. But it worked. It was great. There's even this great quote about one of Nixon's key advisors for his campaign being like, well, you can't just go around saying the N-word, so we got to use, he doesn't use the word dog whistles, but that's what it is. It's like we got to refer to stuff that racists are going to know that we're talking about black people without just saying we hate black people. And it's been that way ever since. I normally don't like to be this on the nose, but the Republican Party became the face of white supremacy in the United States. I won't say the face of white supremacy. There's plenty of white supremacist Democrats who just do it more low-key. But like for express policy against black people, Republicans. And Southerners ate that shit up. So now we had the Republican Party, which was the like northern big business party, now move into the South. And they start saying lots of stuff about like states' rights and stuff like that. But at their core, they're still that Federalist Party. Now, Democrats had been in the South, but they were the ones that started pushing for like civil rights era changes, social change. But because they kind of got pushed out of the South, I mean, like you see Republicans today talk about how like, well, the Democrats used to be the KKK. We're the party of Lincoln. The parties fucking switched sides, y'all. Y'all probably already knew that, or at least some of this story. But anyway, Democrats switched up to the North, and we're still a party of big business. So now we just have two basically corporatist parties. One's just more explicitly racist. So that's cool. And you got to see that in our recent election. Isn't that exciting? That's so exciting. I'm so glad that we have another old white dude who's not going to give us universal health care, but at least he's not explicitly racist. I'm kind of getting off track here. Anyway, Nixon's whole thing, Nixon's whole thing. That happened. Reagan came in following that same strategy. And funnily enough, this guy, Roger Stone, was part of that whole Nixon Southern strategy. He was part of Reagan's whole deal. And he was one of Trump's key advisors. And he got arrested for a whole bunch of bad stuff. I might put it up here. Just being a big dickbag, breaking a bunch of laws, fraud, things like that. Except Trump pardoned him. So, well, I guess he didn't pardon him. He commuted his sentence. So now he can't actually go to jail for those terrible things that he's done. He's also a big racist. Anyway, so yeah, I'll go through the whole thing with the how the parties switch sides and talk about how did these social changes happen. It was based a lot on racism. But past that, I would ask the question, why do we only have two parties to begin with? Why is that such a thing in this country that we've only got two parties, the Republicans and the Democrats? That's dumb. We should have more parties. Why can't the Green Party actually get a foothold? Why can't the Libertarian Party actually have any kind of place or any kind of representation? Well, turns out that has a lot to do with our voting system. And I'm going to send y'all some links to a whole series of videos about how voting systems work and some alternatives, and I'm going to give you an assignment about that. And that's probably going to be your last assignment since it's the last week of class. Oh, God, excuse me. Long story short, we use something called first past the post voting, meaning that whoever gets a majority wins. That's normal. That makes sense. That's a good way to understand democracy, I guess. But it turns out having something so simple like that basically forces you to any kind of side parties to consolidate into one big party to hope that they get enough to reach that majority. And so because people are afraid of wasting their vote or throwing it away, we end up with two parties that don't actually represent everybody very well at all. And so as you're watching the YouTubes that I link you to, I want you to be looking at some of the proposed alternatives like mixed member proportional representation. I want you to pay attention to what the guy says about gerrymandering and how we can fix that shit. And ranked choice voting, where the idea is basically that you list the people that you want to vote for, or sometimes called instant runoff voting. So if I want Bernie Sanders first and Elizabeth Warren's my second pick and Joe Biden is third, I guess. And then I don't even know the Independent Party and Green Party candidates' names. Whatever. I even try to be informed about this stuff. I just blanked. I forgot. And I'm not bothering to look it up for this video because who cares? Trump will be dead last, but anyway. God, I just can't stop thinking about how he keeps being tweeting. Fuck that guy. My point was if Bernie doesn't get a majority, then my vote still goes to somebody that I actually like and would care about voting for. It's not oh, well, Bernie lost the primary, so I guess I might as well have voted for Trump since I didn't vote for Biden. It's a way to take care of that kind of vote spoilage problem. Nobody's vote gets spoiled, or nobody's vote spoils a candidate who can actually win. Anyway, I'll put that assignment up, an assignment about voting systems. Look into the Southern strategy. That shit is interesting. And honestly, the punchline of this whole class was supposed to be about social change and how it happens and all the factors that go into it. But I don't know. I don't think I really want to give you guys a final exam. So just make sure you've completed all of the assignments. I will grade those assignments, and that will be your grade in the class. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I will post more info on Blackboard and email you about exams, I guess. Bye.